Alright guys, welcome to Swag Magician Music, or should I change it to Swag Magician Media, because today we're going to be talking about my top 10 movies of the year, as well as some honorable mentions. So we're just going to pretty much go right into it. I just want to say, if there's a movie on here, if you're looking for a movie to be on here and it's not, either I didn't see it or I didn't like it, so ask me, leave a comment. User interaction is always appreciated, and I'll be sure to get back to you. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. We're going to go over some honorable mentions first. So let's see, where should we start? Okay, Boyhood. Boyhood surprisingly isn't in the list. It's pretty much like number 11 for me, but Boyhood, really interesting movie. The Immigrant featuring Joaquin Phoenix, that was a really interesting movie as well, about a, what was she? She was a Russian or Polish girl who had to immigrate in the 1920s or so and turned to a life of prostitution to help pay for her family. Let's see, Nymphomaniac Volume 2, the Nymphomaniac series, was a really interesting take on the life of a Nymphomaniac, with a pretty interesting plot twist at the very end. Not a plot twist, but kind of an ending, kind of shocked you. Monuments Men, cool World War II movie. Honeymoon was a alien horror flick featuring Rose Leslie from Game of Thrones. She played Ygritte. That was an interesting movie. It was a little like, what the hell's going on for a while, but you know, it was a fun, had really nice visual aesthetics. And then finally, The Guest. The Guest is kind of a really traditional 1980s invader, stranger, violent film, I guess you could say. It had a really purposely cliche shot that you know, trying to just to throw back and almost reminisce on, you know, the movies of the past. And basically in the movie, there's a soldier who's been, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a soldier who goes to live with a family of a fellow soldier who had died, and he turns out to not be the man that they think he is. So, yeah. Let's just get right into the top 10. So, starting with number 10, a movie that I have just recently seen. Oh, also, guys, there's a bunch of movies that I still want to see. Winter's Sleep, Wild, a bunch of other movies. Calvary Hill, Kink, that I just didn't get the chance to. So those could definitely have made their way onto the list. Those could have definitely made their way onto the list, but they didn't because I didn't see them. So, number 10. I just saw this last week. Gone Girl. Really interesting movie. It didn't really do what you expect it to do. You midway through the movie, you expect it to end a certain way, and it doesn't. It completely, it surprises you on how it finishes up, and it's really interesting what they're trying to say through the movie. I think Ben Affleck does a good job acting in the movie. Ben Affleck, you know, he kind of has his own persona. And the female character, I'm forgetting her name, she does a really good job acting too. Really an enticing character portrayal. And overall, the storyline was just written really nice. Number 9, Nightcrawler, featuring Jake Gyllenhaal. He plays this really creepy dude who's trying to make money reporting on crime scenes for news stations. And really, Jake Gyllenhaal just kind of carries the movie. I think it's an interesting concept, and it's shot kind of really, at times, brooding and, I guess, gloomy in a sense. Not in its traditional sense, but there's a hint of it there. I just think the way that Jake Gyllenhaal portrays his character, it's amazing. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal really killed it this last year in movies. And simply, if you're a Jake Gyllenhaal fan, you gotta go watch this because he does a great job. Interesting movie, but it's on the back of Jake Gyllenhaal. That why it's number 9. Number 8, Don't Call Me a Bitch, but The Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1, featuring Jennifer Lawrence. I'm a Hunger Games fan. You know, I read the books back in 6th grade, and I think Mockingjay was one of my most cherished readings from middle school. It was a really interesting story about revolution, and this movie has, while it's definitely a build-up movie, I think that the way that they focus it to, you know, not focus on really brutal fight scenes or love scenes, it's really on depressing, like, aspects of war and revolution, is really done amazingly. I think it's directed beautifully, honestly. There's a scene where Jennifer Lawrence is singing The Hanging Tree, which is, I believe, an original soundtrack, and it blends into, or it overcasts the scene of rebels taking a dam, and the way that the rebels taking a dam and the music is implemented is executed. It's just really, like, that shot when I was watching in theaters, I was like, that is a fucking awesome shot. So yeah, from a directorial standpoint, the movie surprised me a lot. It didn't really, it's not because of what Jennifer Lawrence did, it's not because of the craziness of the story, because again, it's only half the book, but they used the time to focus on aspects and make a depressing movie in a sense, a gloomy one, and one that is just shot fantastically. So, number 7, X-Men: Days of Futures Past. I'm not the biggest X-Men fan in the world. I didn't really like 1 and 2. 3 was, you know, but this movie, First Class was cool, and this movie was really cool. I really liked what the storyline was doing here. I think the actors that portray the younger characters of the X-Men do a fantastic job, and they just combine this kind of like mesh of 2 generations to create a really interesting storyline. I think it was nicely executed. It was a little surprising, a little cliche at the end too, but you know, that's what you're gonna get. It was fun. Number 6, another Jake Gyllenhaal movie. This actually was finished in 2013, but it didn't get its official release in Canada and Spain until 2014. Enemy. This was one of the creepier, again, creepy ass movie, really weird. I didn't really know what the fuck was happening, and the way that they ended was really like, what the hell is happening? Some pretty distinct imagery and symbolism that's going on here, and you kind of have to watch it twice to really devolve what's going on. But again, Jake Gyllenhaal does a great job acting. I think the story is actually written amazingly, and I like the symbolism in the movie. I think symbolism that you get the faintest hint of what's going on, and then once you start thinking about more and more, it starts to piece together. The way that they executed that's what you want in symbolism in movies, and they do a great job, and it's shot very well. Number 5, saw this on the same day as Mockingjay, Interstellar, featuring Matthew McConaughey. Interstellar, oh my god, Christopher Nolan. You know what, actually, the shots in this movie were great, but it's like, you can't really fuck up space shots, right? Like, it's space, everyone loves space. Matthew McConaughey kills it, absolutely. The storyline is really intricately written out and really nicely sewn together at the end. It all makes sense. You don't have to be a science magician to get it, because they do a good job of piecing it together. And apparently scientists say that, you know, it makes sense given the situation. So all in all, you know, I think it was a really well-crafted movie. I think the writer deserves a lot of credit for what Interstellar was, because it was great. Great movie. Number 4, really funny yet weird movie by James McAvoy. I believe that's his name. Filth. This movie, he plays a corrupt cop, and it was just weird. It's kind of like a Wolf of Wall Street, where again the character, he's successful when he's getting to a life of drugs and crime, being corrupt, making money, fucking bitches. But the way that it ends is like all of this, it wasn't a positive thing, right? This is a negative thing, and it's actually a somewhat depressing tone. It's a depressing ending that is, you know, still made light of just because of the situation. So I thought that was really nicely executed. James McAvoy absolutely kills it as the crack addict, lust-having, corrupt cop. There's no way around it. And again, a really similar kind of movie. It's different storylines, but you can see the parallels between this movie and The Wolf of Wall Street that came out last year, which again was, you know, it was a pretty good movie. So yeah, Filth, featuring James McAvoy. Alright, number 3, indie movie Coherence. I don't really know the actors or the director in this movie. I saw it and I didn't really look too much into it. It was really cool. It was really interesting written. Basically what happens is a group of friends get together to have a dinner, and a extraterrestrial kind of anomaly happens. I think a comet hits, and it creates this kind of vortex in time, and creates this really interesting thing. I don't want to spoil the movie, but the way that they play on what could happen, and they have this really distinct, you know, kind of supernatural aspect going on with how there's different universes almost. But the way that they play it isn't focusing on that. It's focusing on the social aspect of the characters given that situation, and I think that's what made the movie really interesting. It was nicely acted by the actors. You know, they're indie actors, never heard before, probably the first films, but it was nicely done. It was all nicely done all around. On a directing standpoint, you know, some of the shots were kind of ass, but I think just given, you know, the quality, you can't really switch to 5 different cameras. But, you know, granted, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie, definitely an interesting one. Got you thinking. It was really cool. Number 2, this movie with my number 1. Again, this was so hard to choose what's my number 1 and what's my number 2, but I think I had to go with this. Number 2, Only Lovers Left Alive, featuring Tom Hiddleston and Tilda. Basically, they play 2 vampires who are pretty much polar opposites. The female vampire sees kind of the good in the world and wants Tom Hiddleston to be happy, and Tom Hiddleston kind of sees the darkness and looks at society with a negative view, and it's not really a vampire movie, more so than it is a love story, a love social commentary, playing with the fact that vampires are immortal. It gives them the entire length of society. It gives the director the entire length of society to play with and kind of evaluate society in both a positive and a negative view, which is really interesting. Also, it symbolizes, their craving to eat blood with addiction. I think that was really nicely executed too. So yeah, and Tom Hiddleston kills it. Tom Hiddleston, Tilda Swinton just do a fantastic job playing their yin and yang. So yeah, Only Lovers Left Alive. By what the fuck is the director's name? Jim. I don't have internet. It's like Jim Jarmusch, Dave Damashek from NFL.com. That's who directed the movie. Number 1. Another really weird movie that isn't. This is the movie that isn't storyline focused. It's most similar to Enemy. While there is a storyline to be had, that's not the point. Under the Skin, featuring Scarlett J, directed by John Glazier. This movie was awesome, man. I think John Glazier does a really fantastic job with directing the movie. There's a bunch of awesome shots. There's a bunch of awesome imagery. The symbolism is executed really nicely. Scarlett J does a really interesting performance, and I think it was funny because I saw this movie pretty much right after seeing Her, and it's almost polar opposites where in Her, Scarlett J plays only a voice but has so much emotion behind the voice and character, while in this movie she plays a body almost devoid of emotion because she's a symbol. I'm not going to give away the movie. While the symbolism isn't going to blow you away, it's definitely an interesting take, and I think it's something that still is going to leave you, thinking about, what you just watched from a narrative standpoint, and from a just John Glazier kills it, man. I can't say it any other way. I just love the way that the movie is shot. Awesome movie. So yeah, guys, that was my 2014 movies list. It was a fun year in movies. I actually like this year in movies a lot more than I liked last year. Pretty much all of my top 10, including my honorable mentions, I could watch pretty much over and over again, except Nymphomaniac Volume 2, because that just made me feel really dirty. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will be putting out another video today. It might have already been put out about my favorite albums of the year, so go check that out. Also, I will be putting out a mixtape sometime soon. It's pretty much done, but I just need to record a few more tracks, get some features, and I can't do that since I'm not home, obviously. But so once I do that, it should be coming out. Be on the lookout for that. As always, guys, stay cool, keep fresh. This was your boy Swag Magician, where if I have music, what else do I really need? Peace.